Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Moments. I am your host, Jada Lowe. Welcome back to another episode, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling. Let's get the ball moving. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch. If you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, thank you guys for listening and tuning in. How have y'all been feeling? How's your week been going? Well, these come out on Monday, so how was last week? How y'all feeling? How y'all looking? How y'all doing? You feel good? You feel like you're getting your feet under you? You feel like you're moving? Or do you feel like, You feel like a little choppy? You feel sad. If you feel sad, Jada's giving you a hug, okay? Let's get into it, y'all. I told y'all in the previous episode that we were going to kind of talk about some things that I felt like would help us to maneuver through this year and to get through the year in the sense of like some things that, some things need to be addressed to where it can help you to just keep moving through the new year. So one thing I want to talk about or the premise of this episode is not revisiting your past and not looking back. So I thought like, when I knew I was going to talk to y'all about this, I asked myself, because I've had situations like that, and I'm like, what made me go back to situations that weren't serving me, or go back to people that weren't serving me, and why did I go back? What's the purpose of going back? So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about why, maybe some underlying things that reveals, and some maybe underlying fear that's possibly there too. So why do we go back to things that we know don't serve us anymore? Why do we go back to things that waste our time? Why do we go back to people that waste our time? Why do we go back to patterns that we know? Why do we go back to things, and even things within ourselves? Why do we revert to things that we know no longer serve us? So I'm a tackle this from my perspective. One of the reasons that I believe I went back to just things and people that I knew didn't serve me was because it was comfortable. Y'all know it's one thing we're going to do here is be honest. It was comfortable. There are people that we have moved on from where you question if you should go back or not, because not that you know what you're going to get, but to a certain extent, it's kind of predictable to where you know what's going to happen, or you feel like it may be kind of like a control thing too, where I know what I'm getting on this end, instead of dealing with a new friend or a new relationship and not necessarily knowing what to get with this person. I know what I'm going to get with this person. So why would I move forward into something that I'm unsure about when I could have a little bit more control and go back and know what I'm getting? So it's like comfort and a little bit of predictability in knowing. And that was I've been there. And even with situations too, it's like, I know if I were to go back to this situation, these variables would take place. But if I go and maybe take a step out on faith, or even if I go do something out of my comfort zone, I'm not quite sure what that's gonna do to me. And I think I want to go back to control a little bit, because I feel like one of the ways and one of the reasons why we revisit things, or why we go back to things a little bit, may be because of some maybe toxic ways or trauma responses, but also because we know we can have control over something that we've already been through. But yeah, I feel like I had to learn that was the case. And too, fear is rooted in that too. Not wanting to move into something different because I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't have full control over that situation. I'm kind of scared. And God forbid it's actually good for me. Now it's be honest, there are some things that you could walk into that would actually be good for you, but because you've never encountered it, there's a sense of fear that could possibly be there. And I get it. There have been situations like that for me too, where I know this person has the potential to be good for me. This person or this situation can bring something out of me that I wouldn't normally get, or help me to do something that I wouldn't normally do. And that can be like, that's a little scary. It's a little scary, especially when you know like it's gonna end up requiring more of me. It's gonna require me to give. It's gonna require me to give myself more, or give more of myself. Like one of my, okay, how do I say it? One of my, I don't want to say fears, but like one thing that I'm trying to work through is like the next relationship I end up being. It's like I know that, and I'm praying it's gonna be good. I'm praying he's gonna be great. But I also know like when you get in a relationship with somebody, you encounter things to where it brings out a side of you that's revealed, or it reveals a side of you that needs to be worked on. And it's like, phew. But it's like I know this person is good for me. I know this person is going to be good for me. But it's like, ooh, baby, let me tell you something. Can we not get So that's like, I guess you could say like an apprehension, but it's like I've had to get to a place where I'm like, Jada, like, let's not waste, even though nothing is wasted, God wastes nothing. Waste let's not unnecessarily waste time because we're revisiting the past, or revisiting the past in the sense of dealing with the same situations and dealing with the same type of people as you keep moving forward. That's a way of revisiting your past too. It doesn't always have to be you going back to the exact same person or situation. It could be that same person but just a different face. So like that's another part to be cognizant and aware of too. And I just had to be honest with myself. I was like, girl, why are you doing this? You know you don't want to be here. You know you don't want to be like in this situation, or you know like these people aren't serving who you want to be, or bringing out like the best in you. So what are we doing? Like you have to have a sense of accountability and have a sense of and you just got to be honest with yourself. And I just had to tell myself like stop entertaining it. Stop entertaining it, even though it's predictable, even though you know what you're going to get. What good is it going to do you? If anything, it's going to set you back even more because you could have made headway going into the unknown. But it's so scary, Barry. It's so scary, y'all. But I'm getting to a place where like even if things are scary, I'm starting to see like even if it's scary, there's some benefit to it. There's some good thing in it. So let me just see it through. So yeah, what's some stuff that y'all have moved on from that's trying to pull you back? Who are some people that you moved on from that are trying to pull you back? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go back. Don't look back. And listen to your gut. If your gut is telling you like, don't go back to this, don't go back to them, don't do it, listen to your gut, because if you end up going back, it's gonna do more harm than good. Take it from me, please. It's going to do more harm than good. And kind of look at some of the ways that you're getting pulled back, like what patterns are coming up that's causing you to be intrigued to want to go back. What are some things that come up where it raises the question of like, maybe it could change? I don't want to say 8 times out of 10, when you go back, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And if it has, in the rare case that it has, and I'm not being pessimistic, I'm just saying, if I'm speaking in the sense of, and in the case of knowing that people and situations aren't good for you, you know if it's not, and you know if you go back, nothing's changed. So why even put yourself through that? And so you just got to leave the past in the past. And another thing that I want to touch on too, not just other people, not just situations, not just what's done to us by outside factors, but inside there are some mistakes that I had to, like, mistakes and patterns wise. There were mistakes that I made that I had to learn to live with and learn how to move on from it in a way where I didn't dwell on it and I didn't beat myself up. The mistake was made. What can I do now to keep moving forward? And that's learn from it. I can't make the mistake and keep living in the past by reliving the mistake I made. I need to learn from it and keep it pushing and move on. That will keep you, like, one of the things we underestimate that can keep us bound is ourselves and what goes on up here in our head. And so, like, I used to be like, and I still find myself trying to figure it out, where, like, I'll make a mistake and I'll dwell on it, keep reliving, like, what I could have did better, what I could have done, how I could have, like, been more accountable, how I could have not made the mistake, how could I have not put myself in this position, how could I have not messed up, how could I not have been more, why was I immature in this situation, why was I not more mature in this situation? And it's like, Jada, look at it for what you did, and look at it from a place of, like, holding yourself accountable. How can you learn from it to where if it comes up again, you handle it better and you don't make the same mistake. Sometimes I do believe our past comes back to see if we'll do the same thing again and to see if we'll go back. There are past patterns that'll come up to see, like, okay, are you going to behave the way that you said you weren't going to behave no more? Are you going to go back to the person that you said you weren't going to go back to no more? If I bring you this test with this same question, but it's in a different format, are you going to answer it the same way? And now, maybe I should use another analogy. But if what caused you to if what were to cause you to make, what, Jada? If the mistake you made before came back and you had to redo it, but from the standpoint of the lesson already being learned, would you move forward in the lesson that was learned, or would you move forward from the past way that you would have responded? There we go. Yeesh, Jada. My brain moves faster than my mouth sometimes, y'all. Bear with me. But yeah, that was another thing that I had to think of, like, when moving on from my past, moving on from, like, my past self, like, moving on from my past habits and patterns and, like, the old ways I operated, and, like, knowing I want to grow. When you want to grow, you can't do the same thing that you've always been doing. You can't even do the same thing that you've been used to doing. So when situations come up, and, like, even, like, when we're triggered or even when we're offended, like, am I going to handle it how I would have handled it then? Or am I going to handle it like I should handle it now? And so I just want to encourage y'all, like, don't, and I know, like, when I get on here and I speak to y'all, I don't ever want it to come off as I'm telling you from me being perfect. I'm telling you from a place of me honestly still working through it myself, but also from the place of, like, encouragement and me still maneuvering through it. So when I say, like, do it, I'm saying, like, just keep this, what I'm telling you, keep it in mind. But yeah, your past things will come back to test you. That's inevitable. Life gonna be trifling at times, and it happens. But that's another reminder that I want us to take, not just through the rest of the year, but just through life, period, because things come back up, and it may come back up more than one time to test you, to see if you've grown the way you've grown. And sometimes honestly, y'all, sometimes people will do that. Sometimes people will come back to see if they can still get you, or if they still got you like they had you back then. And if you know you've moved on, if you know you've grown, or if you know, like, you just don't want that anymore, like, act like that, bro. Act like it. If a situation comes up where let's say somebody try you at work, let's say you don't have like the best coworkers. How are you gonna? I know it can be difficult. How are you gonna handle that? Again, when dealing with people, I know it's easier said than done. But just catch my drift for a second, for the purposes of progression. How do we move forward in a way that we don't operate like our past selves would? And that's just what I want us to keep in mind. So yeah, as we're maneuvering through this year, and because I believe like part of just maneuvering through life in general is understanding that things will come up. So like, how do we progress and move through that? And so I just want us to be mindful of that, because it's not easy, y'all. And let me say this too, I failed. Grade F, I failed. There were times where people came back into my life and I thought it was something else, and I thought like I thought we were all on the same page and we all like progressed and yada yada yada. And that wasn't the case. There were times where situations came up and I acted how Jada from high school, not 4 years ago, Jada from high school would have reacted. And I told myself, I never act like that again. Well, you did. So what are we going? You see, like, so it's like learning how to get through all of that jibber jabber. But yeah, like, just that's what I've been trying to learn too, because I've still been moving through it myself, just trying to make sure that, you know, when things do come up, or even when new things come up, that I don't react the same way that I did before, and how do I handle it better. So I just want us to be mindful of that. And I want to encourage y'all too, like, if you're in a place where you just feel like, and even too, if you feel like your past has been holding you hostage, like you feel like you can't get out of it, you feel like the same people just been coming up, and it's like, I'm trying to do everything I can, I'm trying to be a better person, but the same people, the same situations, just in different forms and with different faces is coming up. I encourage you that you can maneuver through that. You can maneuver through that, and don't, not undermine, but don't underestimate the work that you've done, even though these things are still happening. So I want to encourage you that you can get through that you can get past your past, and that you have the power and the strength to face your past and to literally pass your past, in the sense of passing your past come at you. Because sometimes you don't even need to, don't even look that way. And so I just want to encourage y'all that you can get through it, and that you're strong enough to be able to maneuver through that season. And as we move through this year, let's keep that in mind. Let's be mindful of that. And don't look back. Whatever you do, just hear me in your ear or see me with your eyes. Don't look back. And you're worthy of not looking back. You are worthy of looking forward. You deserve to look forward to something. We still recovering. I'm not gonna say we still recovering from COVID, but it's like the timeline just the years running your brain. You deserve to look forward, to have something to look forward to, and that doesn't involve looking back. And I'm gonna end it like that. A bar. Oh my, what? Anywho, I love you. Y'all continue to stay mindful. Y'all stay safe, and don't look back. Don't look back. Look forward. Look to the future. Look for something. Look towards something positive. Look for something good that's gonna happen. Cause ain't nothing good back there. I ain't even finna turn around, cause I already know what's behind me. But yeah, I love y'all. Y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all in the next episode.